Hey all, back again with something else. And I remember this line from Carl Sagan many years ago when I was a kid. This sort of "We are made of star stuff." Sort of a true line. It was sort of a bit of an iconic line. But I sort of came across it again, and it had been like many decades, and I realized that it's sort of a strange thing because it's not just that there's this hokey sort of we are connected to the universe type thing, but rather that all these substances come from long periods of time with lots of sort of violence in the universe. Well, there's water. There are like metals in your body, the iron in your blood, which has its own sort of special story because we know the stars make elements through fusion. Hydrogen becomes helium, helium becomes carbon, carbon becomes oxygen, and so on. But then you get to iron, and now it's no longer getting energy out, which was true for previous fusion reactions. And so there's this, and I sort of didn't think about this earlier, but so now when I revisited it, I realized there's this fact that when you get this iron core, that's sort of like the end, and the gravity wins, pressure fails, and that's when sort of the star collapses, and it sort of tears itself open, and billions of years later, here we are. Some of that iron is sort of in your, let's say, in your blood or whatever, and this is not like some sort of metaphor. That's the weird part. Like, this is actually very literally true. Like carbon, carbon was made in some star long ago. Not from the star exploding, but this long process of fusion that happened in various places towards the end of their life, when they sort of swelled out and sort of exhaled this outer layer out. And the atoms are the same because other stuff changes, but the atoms themselves don't change. So all the carbon inside you sort of literally came from some dying star. Then there are these heavier elements, things like gold and platinum. I think it's even iodine, like the iodine that's in your like a thyroid gland. That requires yet other kinds of stellar processes. I think it's the neutron stars, which are these ultra dense sort of dead stars, which when they spiral and they collide, and they crash into each other, and then you have these heavy elements. And so sort of if you have sort of people have some bits of jewelry or whatever, all that has come from this sort of lifetimes of stars, and then these special stars that had these violent neutron star collisions, and then that resulted in literally the atoms that make up either this iodine or the gold and so on. And so yeah, in that sense, there is matter being made in the universe, but it's through this sort of combination that those same atoms and is sort of forming parts of you, and well, and of course the exception is hydrogen, which is sort of the OG substance, right? It's sort of like it's been there since the very beginning. In the very first few minutes after the Big Bang, whatever was created is sort of literally the same thing. Is a sort of primordial matter, and if you think about like drinking a glass of water, you have this combination of oxygen, which was made from as a byproduct of fusion. So there was some star that made this oxygen, and that is mixed in with that is combined with this hydrogen that is there from the beginning of time, and these two things come together and make water. That water is sort of in rain and in your blood, in the oceans, coffee, stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, we're familiar with these things about how there's recycling in the biosphere. Like, okay, you live, you die, you you become worm food, etc., so to speak. But that, to me, is not as in my mind at least, is not as consequential as the fact that it's yes, that's like substances being recycled and so on, but the atoms themselves are sort of have a much longer cycle, because the atoms themselves come from some old dead stars that which were impossibly far away, and which you will sort of never sort of know about. So they're very ancient in some way. So yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to share this insight because there is when people talk about sort of this stuff changing and flowing and so on, it's commonly acknowledged that it's true in this biosphere sense. But there is yeah, I feel this sort of deeper cycle when it's true in the sense of how atoms are created and then they sort of form and reform. Anyway, that's my very brief, short take that I wanted to share today. And we'll be back for more later.